put this video together of this 99 Subaru Outback that we picked up at an insurance auto auction. This car was there because of the damage to the right front fender, but other than that, the car is in great shape. This video is going to walk you through just a little bit of what it takes to repair one of these and just how easy it really is. The first thing that we had to do was replace this right front fender, and we did that with a used fender that we picked up pretty cheap. Okay, so the new fender we put on here has got a few dents on it that we're going to have to repair, and then the passenger front door and the passenger rear door also have dents that we're going to need to repair. We're going to show you how we did that. Alright, so we got this 99 Subaru Outback. We're getting ready for primer. I'm going to show you here in a few minutes how we two-tone these. Now, if you look here, this is a factory Subaru fender. The paint is two-tone down to here. This is actual paint, and then this here is a sticker. So what Subaru did from the factory is they would just paint them like this, and then the rest of this upper portion here is actually a sticker kit. This arch, and then there's another little pinstripe right above it. This is all sticker. Down here is actual paint. And if you look close, if you own one of these cars and you go out and look at it, there's always just a little bit of difference in the paint color, and that's just the way it is. This sticker is not available as far as I know. I've never been able to find it. What we do is we actually hand paint all this. We tape it off, we spray it, and that's what we're going to demonstrate here in a bit. Obviously, I'm going to prime this tonight. We'll let it sit overnight. I'll come in the morning, we'll wet sand it, and get it ready for paint, and then we'll demonstrate just how we two-tone these Subaru cars. We've done quite a few of these, and this is the way we've done them all. This larger band, this larger arch, we paint, and then we come in with a pinstripe, and we pinstripe that top part. Right now we're removing all of this sticker because it's old and starting to kind of fade and fall apart, oxidize. I'll show you here. We're actually using this tool here. We're using this tool here, which is an eraser wheel, and see if I can do this, hold it with one hand and do it, but basically that just comes in like a great big eraser and just rubs that pinstripe off. We're going to go ahead and do this over this whole arch, remove all of that old sticker. I'll get this primed, and we'll wet sand it and paint it in the morning. Alright, we got the Subian primer last night. See those areas where we had some body filler, now covered in surfacing primer. Gonna add a little guide coat to it. Guide coat basically is applied so that as you're wet sanding, the guide coat shows you any low spots, scratches, anything like that, any imperfections, I guess, in the bodywork. Demonstrate that in a little bit here as we're wet sanding. But we're going to go ahead and get her wet sanded and get things moved around here. Get it in the paint booth, and we'll get it sprayed, get it painted. Well, there's your guide coat. It's basically just kind of a black spray paint, but it sands real easily. We'll demonstrate in a minute here how that works. Alright, we moved the Subaru over into the booth here, and we're going to go ahead and get it ready to wet sand. And I'll show you here in just a minute what I mean by getting it ready for wet sanding. Okay, so we've got the Subaru here ready to wet sand. Basically what we've done is around the panels that are going to be wet sanded, we've put tape on the edges. What that does is, as you're sanding along, it just makes it creates a protective barrier here so you don't accidentally scuff an adjacent panel as you're sanding. you know, you still need to be kind of careful around here, but the tape just kind of creates a little buffer there, so that you don't accidentally scuff a panel or sand a panel that you don't want to paint. So we just did that all the way down the hood, down here on the bumper. This door will only be painting the upper half. This molding breaks the door. This molding back here, however, only goes part way back. And so, you know, I was talking earlier about the sticker kit. You can see right here, this is the painted surface. This is a sticker. What we're going to do is we're going to place a piece of tape right along here, along that sticker line. We'll be clearing, blending over top of this sticker. And after we get done, we'll just put another piece of charcoal pinstripe right there to keep that paint from peeling back. But basically that'll allow us, the molding up front here breaks the door, so we only have to do the upper, and then back here we'll break it right there, and that way we don't have to paint the bottom of that door. We can get away with just doing the top. Keep in mind, this is a $4,000 car. Obviously we're trying to keep our costs down as much as possible. We paid a pretty good chunk of change for it at the auction. We're trying to get this car back to just a usable, you know, daily driver kind of status. We're not going for show quality here. We're just going for good quality repair, and so that's why we're cutting a couple of corners there. We removed the window scraper moldings, these belt moldings up here. It's really hard to mask along those and clear those good without having some peeling later on. And so we've removed these upper moldings, but we'll be masking around the handles and masking on the door. It's pretty easy to get some finish blown in around this edge here, to where it shouldn't peel up, you know, within the next 4 to 5 years, which is, you know, probably with the little bit less expensive materials that we're using on these. You know, I've had stuff come back. In fact, we just had a car come back last week that we've had sprayed. It's been together for almost 4 years now, and the finish actually looked really good on it, even though we are using a little less expensive product. We're using some quality base coat, but we're using a little less expensive clear just to keep the cost down on these repairs. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense to buy these totals and rebuild them. So that's how we get it ready for wet sanding. I'll go ahead and finish up the masking down here on this last door. We just got to mask along this edge here and then this edge here, and we'll be ready to start sanding, and I'll demonstrate the guide coat a little bit and show you how that guide coat works. Alright, so here's our door on our Subaru. If you remember right, we had a dent right in this area here. Obviously we have some body filler in this area, sand scratches from our file board that went out into this area, so the whole area has been primed. We sanded that down with a DA sander and a little Dynabrade, and I believe we finished that off with about 220 grit, and then primed over top of that. So then, if you remember a few minutes ago in the video here, I sprayed this guide coat on, and so we'll just demonstrate real quick here what the purpose of the guide coat is. So as we come up here with our sanding block, and I do have a power sander that I'll finish this out with, but this is just a block that you can buy at just about any paint and body store, or even AutoZone. But and it's semi-firm. It's a foam block, but works pretty good for this kind of stuff. So as start sanding there, you can see the guide coat is disappearing in this area, which is indicating that that's nice and smooth. But then over in this area, you can see these low spots. That's basically, and right in through here, that's basically telling us we got sand scratches, maybe some low areas. So this filler is a thicker, you know, it goes on pretty thick, and then you can just continue sanding at these areas and until that guide coat disappears. Once that guide coat disappears, you know, that's basically indicates that area is fairly smooth and fairly flat. That way when when the paint goes on, you know, you're gonna have a nice smooth finish, and you're not gonna see that dent. You know, if we were to leave some of these areas, these scratches or these low spots, you know, and just paint over them, you know, we'd have, you'd be able to see it pretty good in the finish. So basically, you just sand until that guide coat disappears. If you're going for a real show quality finish, you can dry the area and apply some more guide coat and go again. But you know, really for what we're going for here, just a nice driver quality paint job. We're just gonna hit this once and call it good. You know, the majority of our body work was done in the actual body filler, and this is just kind of finishing up some of those small imperfections. So that's that area right there is where the majority of our dent was. You can see as the body line comes along here, it kind of goes up right there in the guide coat. This is nice crisp body line. Right over here is nice and crisp, and kind of lose it right there. So we kind of just follow that along, get that body line evened up. And if we move down here to the back door, see if I can get this, get some sand scratches to show up in this one a little better. So again, there's our sand scratches. There's kind of the edge of our filler, and as we continue to sand, and that disappears, that's indicating that the panel's straight, and that's guide coat. Guide coat's pretty helpful. Almost impossible to get this stuff straight without it. You can use it dry as well. You know, if you're working a large area of filler, you can actually guide coat right over your filler and then dry sand it, and that'll give you your low spots in your filler as well. So highly recommend guide coat. Here we are with the Subi. It's all blocked out. Stacy jumped in and helped me get it finished up. And if you notice here, nice shiny paint, and then next to it, this dull paint. And this area has all been sanded and then final scuffed, prepped for paint. If there were any shiny areas, those would be areas where they'd need some additional sanding. These areas here will get base coat color and will blend out into here. And then of course the whole panel will get painted. So in a minute here we'll show, as soon as this dries off, we've washed the car really good. Before you paint, you want to clean everything really well. We did hit it with the pressure washer. Pressure washed all the little areas where, you know, as you're painting, you might have some dust blow out. Get them as clean as possible so your paint doesn't have any dust in it when you're painting. So in a bit here, we'll show the two-tone process. Again, you know, this is a sticker. This is the factory two-tone. So what we're going to show is just how we tape this off and how we two-tone these Subarus just with paint. Fine line tape off the area and paint it. So we'll let this, obviously you can see this is still a little wet, still dripping. So we'll let this dry off, and then we'll mask it out and get it ready to shoot it. All right, we're here in the booth. We got the Subaru all taped up, ready to go. Wet sanding's all done. let it sit for a couple hours and dry off. Had to blow out around some of the moldings and edges and whatnot. But we're ready to spray it. So get some paint mixed up here and show you how we do this. Right, so the first thing we're doing here, we're taping off our door. We're going to start out with the charcoal metallic, which is lower color. We're going to spray it along here and the arch and kind of rough that out, and then we'll come back and we'll tape the arch off with some fine line, tape that all off, tape off the charcoal on our door. The door will just be a blend. We won't actually be painting any charcoal on the door. So we'll spray this out first, let it flash for about 20 minutes, maybe a little longer. It's a little chilly right now, but 20 to 25 minutes. Then we can come back and we can tape on that base coat, tape our arch off, and then come in and spray with the green. So I'm gonna go mix up some charcoal metallic and we'll get that sprayed out. All right, first order of business here is to come in with a tack rag. Some people call them cheesecloth. It's basically just a sticky cloth. And come in here and we can remove any fine dust that may have settled on the car as we've been working on it. We're gonna do this in between every coat. Next thing we'll do is put a little water down on the floor. Just kind of wet things down a little bit so as the air is blowing around, we're not picking up any dust off the floor. Booth here hasn't really been cleaned thoroughly for a while, so we'll just wet her down and then I'll come in and spray our arch. Okay, just sprayed the second coat of base here on the arch. You can see it's a charcoal color. It's actually called slate metallic. That's the name Subaru has for it. We're gonna let that dry. We're gonna come in here with some fine line tape and tape off the arch. We've got this paper over here, which is temporary paper. We're gonna go ahead and remove that. And that gives us a line here of where we're gonna start our arch. So we'll actually tape this off. We'll spray this half. This half will be actually color, and then this smaller line here will actually follow up with some pinstripe after the car dries overnight. So basically let this sit for probably another 10 minutes, and we'll go ahead and lay out our fine line tape. All right, we're gonna tape off our arch here. We're gonna use this fine line tape. I believe this is 1/4 inch. Basically, just come off right here, and real steady like, and tape off what would be the factory sticker for Subaru is no longer available. So we've actually got to mask it off. All masked off. Got all of our charcoal down the doors masked off as well. And we'll go ahead and spray out our green. Remove the paper and show you our two-tone. Alright, just finished second coat of base. Right now you can see the base is kind of glossy, it's still wet. But this will basically dry out, and it'll look pretty horrible. Base when it's all laid out and dry, I mean it's just a real dull color until you get the clear coat on. Basically, you can come in here now, you can pull this masking off for our arch. So pull that fine line back. And that creates our two-tone arch, which would, like I say, normally be a sticker from Subaru. I'm gonna pull this back here. We just masked off the two-tone from before. Just gonna clear over that with our clear coat. So all that stays the same. Out in here we did a blend with the green, what we call the bullet blend, blended down in. So this paint here is actually, nothing's been painted here on the color. So once it's cleared, even if our color is just slightly off on a shade, you won't be able to detect it with the naked eye, because this is actually the original color, just blended over with some clear. Again, there's a little nick right there that was touched up at one point. Kind of had to draw the line. If we come in here and started priming, that kind of limits us on the space we have to blend. Need about 12 inches at least, and that would have put us pretty close. But again, it's a used car. It's a $4,000 Subaru. We're just going for a decent driver quality paint job. So we'll let this base coat flash. I kind of put the last coat on a little heavy. Probably should have just let it flash and went for a third coat, but it's getting late and I'm tired and I want to get out of here. So put this last coat on a little thick. We'll let it dry and we'll throw some clear coat on it. Alrighty, see the base coat now is kind of flashed. It's been about 20 minutes and it's looking nice and dull. It's hard to see over here where we based and where we didn't, so it's flashed off. About ready for some clear coat. We'll spray a coat of clear and show you what that looks like. First coat of clear's on, and it's shiny, laid out pretty good. This is kind of a thin coat. Throw another coat on here in a minute, a little thicker. And after the second coat, we'll pull the masking and call it a night. Well, there we are. Second coat of clear's on. Pulled our masking paper. Word to any first timers, kind of trying painting out for the first time. Pull your paper shortly after you do the paint job, very carefully. If you leave the paper till the following day and try to remove it, a lot of times you'll peel an edge up, make a real mess of it. I've seen it happen. Anyways, tomorrow we'll buff out our quarter over here and get our mirrors on. We went ahead and threw some paint on our mirrors as well. Mirrors on this car were just a black and they fade out real bad. So we painted those. Get some sap, some tree sap to clean up on the hood. And just over for an alignment about 10 a.m. tomorrow. And we'll get somebody coming to test drive at about 1 o'clock. So all goes well. We'll watch this thing drive off the lot tomorrow. Alright, it's Thursday morning. We sprayed this little Subi last night. Did a little video on our two-tone. What we're going to do now is we're going to replicate this upper stripe. We're going to do that with vinyl. This is just some pinstripe. This is a two-part stripe. It's got the 1/8 inch and then the 3/16. What we're basically going to do is we're going to pull back the clear protective layer off the top of this, separate the two stripes, and just use the 3/16 stripe to do that second arch right here. So we'll set the tripod down here and go to it. Alright, and that's all there is to it. Basically, this is our side we just did. Walk you around here to this side. That's the factory stripe from Subaru. If you get real, you know, if they're real close, it's pretty hard doing it by hand to not maybe have just a couple of spots where it's not just perfect, but you know, the first time you do one of these, you might end up taping it out a couple of times. Just trying to get that arch just right can be a little tricky. Well, there you have it, our 99 Subaru. This is a salvage title car, but as you can see, I mean, it needed very little to fix it. We replaced that right front fender, which set us back about 50 bucks. Had an inner fender skirt, which is the plastic liner. That was about $20. Those were both used parts. The side marker we fixed and put back in. We did have to put a tire on it. The rest of the tires were brand new. The tire set us back about 100 bucks. Had a $50 alignment, and we were about $200 in our paint and body supplies. So, you know, in this car, depending on what part of the country you're in, you would typically expect to pay about $1,200 to $1,500 for it at auction. Obviously, had some auction fees and shipping in there. Say, you know, on the high end, close to $2,000. It's still a very good way to get into a car for a very reasonable price. And if you got some basic body skills, it's something that's real easy to do. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out some of our other videos.